My friend Wanda and I had been hiking partners for just over a year when we decided we'd hike Granite Mountain together. We parked at the trailhead off Iron Springs Road shortly after 9 a.m. and mapped out what we thought was a 5-mile loop. We were hoping to be off the trail by 1 p.m. so we could head over to the new Mexican restaurant for lunch and margaritas. We hiked a mile and a half up Trail 37 where we connected to the Clark Spring Trail, number 40. We took our first break for a fruit and nut bar and a bottle of water while we enjoyed the views around us. After taking a few pictures, I noticed that my phone was losing its charge rather quickly, so I turned it off to save the battery. We made it to the Blair Pass, Trail 261, at noon and realized for the first time as we signed the logbook that it was Friday the 13th. We joked about being Polish and how dangerous it could be for two Polish girls to be in the woods alone on Friday the 13th. From 261, we reached the Granite Mountain cliff face, where we turned back onto Trail 37 for the final leg of the loop, and only 3.75 miles between us and margaritas. We were getting hungry, but neither of us wanted the crackers and fruit bars. We were trying to hold out for the Mexican food. But Wanda is a diabetic and couldn't wait 2 more hours to get back to the car, so we gave in and ate our second round of fruit and nut bars, while admiring the nearby mountain ranges and Granite Basin Lake. We came to a wash where we lost the trail. Wanda saw what she thought was a trail, and since there really was no other option, we decided to give it a try. After a few minutes of heading back up the mountain, I told Wanda I didn't think we were on the trail anymore. According to the map, we should be going down, not up. She argued we should probably go up a little further and then would come down on the other side of the mountain near our car. After 45 more minutes of climbing, we reached the top of Granite Mountain. I pointed out that we could see no roads, no other hikers, and no signs, but what we could see was plenty of mountain lion scat. I insisted we turn around and try to get back to the trailhead where we had signed in at noon. I pulled out my phone and tried to call 911, but even with the phone turned off, the battery had continued to drain. The call to 911 showed dialing, but never went through. Then I tried to text my husband at work. The text message showed sending, but then the phone died. I told Wanda we had to get back to the trailhead before sundown if we had any hope of being found. As we were coming down the mountain, Wanda asked me to pray the rosary with her, but I couldn't think of the words. I thought, wouldn't my mother be ashamed of me after all those years of Catholic upbringing? But I was focused on getting to the trailhead before dark, so we prayed silently and hoped we didn't run into any wildlife on the way down. At 5:50, we made it back to the 261 trailhead. According to our map, a parking lot was less than a mile from where we sat, directly in front of us. We could see the trail ahead of us, but not very well. Wanda was afraid to go any further. She reasoned that if we reached the parking lot and no one was there, we wouldn't be found. She kept saying, "If you're lost, hug a tree. Someone will find you." It was November, and at 6 p.m. it was already dark and getting cold. Wanda wanted to sit at the trailhead and wait for someone to find us, so we sat and we waited. I started calling out for help, but after a while, Wanda asked me to stop. She was worried that I would attract curious javelina, bobcats, or even mountain lions. So we filled my Gatorade bottle with rocks to make a rattle to shoo the animals away, should we need to. We sat and talked and we prayed, and Wanda began to worry about her husband Ben. She knew he'd be worried that we didn't come home after lunch and he had no way to contact us. My husband Billy had been at work all day and had no idea that anything was wrong. I told Wanda that Billy and I were supposed to go to a movie, so he said he'd come home around 5:30. When he did get home, Ben went over and told him that something was wrong. Billy assured Ben we were probably fine and most likely had gone shopping after hiking. He tried calling my phone, but it went straight to voicemail, and then he sent me a text saying they were worried and asking me to call him. But since my phone was dead, I never saw the message. At 6:30, our husbands called 911 to report us missing. Ben had overheard us that morning as we discussed which mountain we would like to hike, but he didn't know we had decided on Granite Mountain. Our husbands drove to Mingus Mountain to search for us, while the Yavapai County search and rescue teams headed to Granite Mountain. Around 8 o'clock, deputies found my car at the Little Granite Mountain trailhead. They called our husbands and told them to go home and bring a piece of clothing out of the hamper so the bloodhounds could track us. We sat on the ground in the dark facing each other and came up with a plan. We'd saved a few crackers and about a third of a bottle of water. We decided we'd stay the night on the trail, eat the crackers and drink the water in the morning, and then try to make it back up Trail 40 and down 37 to get to my car. We also decided that if we had to sleep in the woods, we'd take turns sleeping so that one of us could watch for animals and listen for rescuers. The longer we sat together, the more at peace we became. We were aware of the dangers, especially the rapidly falling temperatures and wild animals. While Wanda was talking to me, I interrupted her and whispered, "I see 2 yellow eyes behind you, but I don't know what it is." "What should I do?" she asked. "Don't move." I picked up the Gatorade bottle full of rocks, shook it loudly, and yelled, "Hello!" Then we heard, "Hello! Karen and Wanda?" Surprised, we looked at each other and at the same time we answered, "Yes!" "Don't move! We're coming for you!" In a few minutes we saw the headlamps as the 2 rescuers walked toward us. I grabbed Wanda's hand and we ran toward them and hugged and thanked them for finding us. That night there were 3 teams of 2, volunteers with bloodhounds, sheriff's deputies, and even a helicopter which flew directly over us as we walked out of the woods with our rescuers. It was now 9:30 and 29 degrees. According to the deputies, our 5-mile hike turned into a 15-mile, 12-hour hike. When we got to the parking lot, we were loaded into a heated SUV, given water, and asked if we needed medical attention. We mentioned that Wanda was diabetic as she ate the last few crackers. The next person I saw was Ben, who was on the verge of tears. As I walked toward Billy, a deputy looked at me and said, "Well, you don't look 60. I looked at Billy and asked, "Why does he think I'm 60? Very quickly he threw his hands in the air and said, "I gave him your date of birth. He did the math." It was a good tension breaker at just the right time. Wanda and I left Little Granite Mountain and drove straight to McDonald's, where we ate the best and happiest meals we've ever eaten.